Welcome to NZ Pocket Guide, New Zealand's largest travel guide. Visit nzpocketguide.com for thousands of tips, hidden gems, and ways to plan the perfect trip in New Zealand. This is a readout of an article available for free on the website. Check out the link in the description and let's get started. The best transport methods for a working holiday in New Zealand. How to travel in New Zealand with a working holiday visa. Sure, there's a lot of information out there about short-term travel around New Zealand, but what about if you're on a working holiday? What are the best transport methods for a working holiday in New Zealand? You want to find the right balance of having long-term transport, affordability, and being able to get between New Zealand's tourist attractions and your Kiwi workplace. We take all of this into consideration and more in this guide to the best ways to travel in New Zealand with a working holiday visa. Transport methods for a working holiday in New Zealand. Listen up to this guide for an overview of the best transport methods for a working holiday in New Zealand. Otherwise, check out nzpocketguide.com for our complete guides for each transport method. Buying a car. Buying a camper van. Traveling by national coach. Traveling by hop-on hop-off bus tour. Hitchhiking. Buy your own car. For the ultimate convenience of getting to work and exploring the country, buying your own car is a popular transport choice for a working holiday. Due to being able to stay in New Zealand for up to a year on a working holiday, in most cases, buying your own vehicle makes much more financial sense than renting a car. You can make some money back at the end of your working holiday by reselling your car. The pros. Freedom. Go where you want when you want. Convenience. Going to the supermarket is no longer a mission as it would be if you had to rely on public transport or walking, for example. Social catalyst. Offer rides in your hostel or on Facebook groups and you'll have friends in no time. The cons. Buying and selling. This can be time-consuming. Check out our tips in the 10 tips for buying a second-hand car in New Zealand and how to sell your car in New Zealand. The possibility of breaking down can be expensive to fix. Cost of maintenance. If things go wrong, as they often do with second-hand cars, you'll have to pay to fix them. Find out how to maintain your car here. More responsibility. You need to be aware of the New Zealand road rules, parking and driving responsibly. Long trips are tiring. Driving for long periods can be tiring, unlike being a passenger on a bus, for example. Buy your own camper van. Consider buying your own camper van much like buying your own car, but your accommodation is within your vehicle. Not only do you have cost-effective transport by selling your vehicle at the end of your trip, but you could save a lot of money on accommodation, as campsites are much cheaper than hostels or renting a room in a house share. You could even park up for free in some regions, but bear in mind that freedom camping rules are strict in New Zealand. The pros. Freedom. Like having a car, a camper van means you can go where you want when you want. Convenience. On top of simple trips to the supermarket being much easier than using public transport, there's no need to unpack and repack your luggage for moving accommodation. Spend less on accommodation, staying in campsites or even freedom camping, if you have a self-contained camper van, are some of the cheapest accommodation types in New Zealand. The cons. Buying and selling. Like buying a car, this can be time-consuming. Check out our tips in the 10 tips for buying a second-hand car in New Zealand and how to sell your car in New Zealand, which applies to camper vans. The possibility of breaking down. It can be expensive to fix not only the vehicle mechanics but also living appliances. Cost of maintenance. If things go wrong, as they often do with second-hand camper vans, you'll have to pay to fix them. Find out how to maintain your vehicle here. More responsibility. You need to be aware of the New Zealand road rules, parking and driving responsibly. Working out the logistics of freedom camping. Laws on freedom camping in New Zealand are different between regions, so figuring out where you can camp for free legally can be a logistical nightmare. Check out what it's really like to freedom camp in New Zealand for more advice. Driving a camper van can be challenging. Camper vans are harder to drive than cars and can be tiring to drive on long trips. Get more information about this transport method for a working holiday and travel by camper van in New Zealand. The ultimate guide on nzpocketguide.com. Travel on the National Coach Service. We're not going to lie, the National Coach Services are the cheapest way to travel around New Zealand. This can also be advantageous for working holidaymakers who can't drive or are worried about driving in a foreign country. There is one national coach service, Intercity, which has more than 600 stops around the country. Combined with some of the town and city public bus services, you can get to most places that working holidaymakers work and visit. The pros. Cheap. It is the cheapest way to travel around New Zealand. Relaxing. With no responsibilities associated with driving yourself, you can just sit back and enjoy the New Zealand scenery. Gets you to most towns and cities in New Zealand. The cons. You can't get everywhere. While the coach will get you to the center of most towns, getting to out-of-town attractions is very difficult. FYI, many of the attractions in New Zealand are stringent schedules. You can only take your coach at a certain time and place, with most locations having only one departure a day. No photo stops or roadside activities. Unlike driving yourself or taking a bus tour, the intercity buses don't stop for tourist activities, only for refreshments and bathroom breaks. Use a hop-on hop-off bus. Get the experience of a guided New Zealand bus tour with like-minded travelers while having the flexibility of hopping off anywhere along a set route by taking a hop-on hop-off bus tour. What makes New Zealand's hop-on hop-off buses, like Kiwi Experience, Stray, and Flying Kiwi, ideal for a working holiday is that their bus passes are valid for the entire year. The pros. You don't have to plan an itinerary. Bus tours follow set routes to set destinations, so you don't need to worry about where to go. You can travel independently if you want to. With the option to hop off the bus, you can enjoy more independent traveling. Transport to your accommodation. The buses stop at selected hostels instead of bus stops. Pit stops to photo stops and attractions. Meet like-minded travelers on the bus. The cons. More expensive than taking the national coach. Not as many destinations. Bus tours don't have as many destinations at the intercity bus, nor the flexibility to visit wherever as you would in your own vehicle. Hop-on hop-off only works well in the quieter seasons. Hopping on and off the bus during the summer season can be a logistical nightmare when buses are often fully booked and you have to wait for the next available bus. Get started on seeing if hop-on hop-off bus tours are right for you and what is a hop-on hop-off bus. You may also like how does the hop-on hop-off bus network in New Zealand work? And how to budget for a hop-on hop-off bus trip around New Zealand, available on nzpocketguide.com. Hitchhiking. Finally, a way to travel around New Zealand on a working holiday visa is hitchhiking. Seriously. Hitchhiking in New Zealand is legal, and some working holidaymakers choose to travel this way to save money, meet interesting people, and experience a sense of adventure. Of course, this way of getting around New Zealand isn't risk-free, so be sure to follow our advice in our guide, Hitchhiking in New Zealand. The pros. It's free. Meet some interesting people. Sense of adventure. The cons. Risk. There's an element of risk in hitchhiking, as you never know who you are getting in a car with. Time-consuming. You could be waiting a while for a lift and you may need to find several lifts to get to your destination. Hard to plan. Not knowing when you're getting a lift can make it hard to plan anything for when you arrive at your destination, forcing you to go with the flow. That's it for this article. Hit like and subscribe to say thank you, and remember, this article is available for free on nzpocketguide.com. Check out the link in the description. Plus, there are thousands of articles for you to plan the perfect New Zealand holiday.